What's up, y'all? It's your favorite podcast. It's the Raw Prospect Podcast, episode 10. We've got Vandegrift football preview today. We're predicting every Week 11 NFL game. I've got all my predictions on the sheet right here. I've got Michael on the phone with me. Say what's up.
What's up, y'all?
So with that, we'll just get right into it then. First thing we wanted to do was the Vandegrift football spotlight. We wanted to do this segment for a while, and this week we've got our playoff game against Tomball Memorial. I think that's San Antonio. I was looking at some of the stats. They're averaging more yards per game than we do. They're average 15 more points per game than we do. So the key for us will have to be just running the football and shortening the game because they have a high-powered offense. So we're going to have to keep their offense off the field. So we got to control the clock.
For sure. When I look at this Vandegrift team, this is a Vandegrift team that's only allowing 13 points, I believe, per game, which is unheard of in high school.
Yeah.
I think what we got to do is the front seven's got to find a way to be aggressive early and put pressure on the quarterback, make him run the ball because it will shorten the game, not only on their side, but then when we get the ball, we get to run it with Brendan Bennett and Isaiah Smallwood. The goal is to shorten the game against, like you mentioned, against a high-powered offense like this. And so if you want to do that, you got to make them one-dimensional by creating a pass rush, and you got to keep them off the field, sustain long drives on offense, and establish a running attack early with your two running backs.
Yeah. That's basically what I wanted to say. Just run the football. And in a game, in a single elimination type game, a high-stakes game, Coach Sanders is going to have to be aggressive. I expect to see some going forward on fourth down, some going for two, because every possession matters, and it's in a high-scoring game. What could be a shootout, it could be 1 point that decides your season. So we're going to have to be aggressive. But that's really all I have to say on that. I think we hit everything.
I think we can win. We just gotta make sure we come out aggressive early, because if you wait and you play from behind, it might be a challenge, especially against an offense like this. We haven't really seen the explosion from this Vandegrift offense, except for the game against, what was it, where we put up 50 against Leander. Yeah, we haven't really seen a big explosion from the Vandegrift offense yet. Do they have it in them? That's yet to be seen. But if you get down early, your defense isn't playing well, and you fail to be aggressive, you're going to be forced to throw the ball, and that's not what you want to do.
Yeah.
So you can't play from behind.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. So I guess with that, we'll get into our NFL predictions. We're going to start off with the Thursday night game. Green Bay at Seattle.
Another good Thursday night game.
Yep. Green Bay at Seattle. Green Bay is 4-1, and Seattle is 4-5, coming off a loss to the Rams in LA. So this honestly could be a huge game when it comes to wild card positioning later in the year. Because if either of these teams loses, then you're looking at a tough road ahead to make the playoffs in the NFC.
For sure. Keep going.
My pick was the Packers to win 30-23. The spread was Seattle by 3. But I just think that now that they've established the running game with Aaron Jones, when you take a little bit of pressure off Aaron Rodgers, it'll only do good things. And Seattle's defense is what it used to be. And I think that Green Bay's pass rush is a little bit underrated, and they can get to Russell Wilson as long as they can keep him in the pocket. So that'll be that. I think they'll win 30-23 in a Rodgers game-winning drive. 30 seconds left. That type of game.
I think it will be close, but I'm going to go the other way. I'm picking Seattle to win and cover the spread 27-23. And I see 2 problems with Green Bay. One, they can't seem to win road games, or at least they haven't yet. They're 0-4 on the road this year, and it only gets tougher with Seattle going into Seattle. Second of all, they can't stop the run. They're allowing an average of 140 yards per game on the ground since week 6. That's 5th worst in the NFL. Seattle ranks 2nd in the NFL in rushing yards, averaging 152.2 yards per game this year. They also rank 7th in pass defense this year, allowing 228 yards per game, which makes life a little easier against Aaron Rodgers. If you can make them run the ball with Aaron Jones, you can at least maybe limit some of those big plays from Aaron Rodgers. I think Seattle's going to shorten the game with their running attack. Russell Wilson will make some big plays over the top with the play action, and I think Seattle will win in a place they don't lose very often, especially in primetime games. In Pete Carroll's career, they're 14-2 at home in primetime games. I'm picking Seattle for those simple reasons.
What score did you pick again?
27-23.
Okay. I can see that. I don't know what game you have next on your sheet, but I have the Panthers-Lions game on mine.
Okay. We can do that.
Carolina is a 4-point favorite on the road in this one. The Detroit is 19th in total defense, and they're 27th in rush defense, allowing 132 yards per game. So, with that in mind, Christian McCaffrey should have a field day. I'm picking Carolina to win big, 42-23.
Okay. I'm picking the Carolina Panthers to win and, of course, cover the spread. They're going to win big, 34-13. This is a Detroit Lions team that's looked awful in the past 3 weeks. They've been outscored by 40 points. And they're on a 3-game, maybe even more, but 3-game losing streak. In those games, they've been outscored by a combined 40 points. Yes, Carolina just did get the tops blown off by Pittsburgh, but Detroit's offense is nowhere near Pittsburgh's. I think the Panthers will get pressure on a beat-up Detroit Lions offensive line. They'll get pressure on Matthew Stafford, force him to run the ball. They'll shorten the game. I don't think Detroit's defense will be able to stop Christian McCaffrey. This is a Lions offense that's now without Golden Tate because they traded him to Philadelphia, and they could potentially also be without Marvin Jones, who might not play Sunday. He has a bone bruise in his leg. I think the Lions offense is going to struggle keeping up with this Panthers offense, and I think the Panthers are going to come out wanting to show people that last Thursday wasn't what the Carolina Panthers are. So,
yeah. Reason I picked Carolina is just that Detroit, it seems like they're not a high-powered offense, obviously, and Carolina has been susceptible to the big play. That's why teams like Pittsburgh and Atlanta. They struggle against them. The teams that can throw it over the top. But Detroit is not that team. They're a team that likes to run it with Kerryon Johnson, give it to him maybe 20 times a game. And with Luke Kuechly in the middle, I'm confident that they'll be able to bottle that up.
Yep.
So, what's next on your sheet? We'll go off that.
I have Dallas and Atlanta.
Okay. Okay, I have that right here. You can make your pick first.
Okay, I am picking Dallas to win the game and cover the spread 24-20. As you guys know, Dallas has one of the best defenses. They have an emerging defense. They're only allowing 19 points per game. That ranks third in the league. They have a strong pass rush up front with guys like Lawrence and the guys playing on the back end. They have enough talent in the back end to slow down the Atlanta Falcons' passing attack with Byron Jones, who's also been playing really well lately. Atlanta ranks 29th in points allowed. They're allowing 28 points per game, and they are 30th in total yards allowed, allowing 414 yards per game. Dallas doesn't have, per se, a very good offense, but they rank 5th in rushing yards, 133 yards per game. So I expect a big day from Ezekiel Elliott, and I expect the Cowboys defense to do just enough to stifle the Falcons offense, which I don't think will be on the field very often because of their of Dallas's rushing attack.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Dallas has to control the clock. If they don't, then then the defense will get tired, and then we've seen throughout the year when the Dallas offense isn't clicking, the defense just gets tired and broken down throughout the game, and then they allow more and more points. My pick is Dallas in OT, 27-24. Falcons were a 3-point favorite, but these are two desperate teams, and usually in a game where the teams are desperate for playoff positioning, it comes down to who has the better defense and who gets the ball last. So it could go either way, but I'm a Dallas fan, so I might be kind of biased, but I'm going with Dallas. It's just a gut feeling I've got.
Yep. And one thing to add, in place of Sean Lee, Leighton Vander Esch is starting to look really good.
Yeah.
So
that's
another
he's playing really well
for the Cowboys.
Yeah, he's probably the best first round pick we've had in a while, probably since Zeke actually.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who. Oh, Taco Charlton's actually been a bust. Yeah, since Zeke. The Cowboys offense, it seems like they're either they look okay, Dak is able to make some throws, Zeke is running well, or they just look awful, and there's no in between. So I just hope it'll be the good offense come Sunday.
Yep.
So with that, we can move on. I've got the Bengals-Ravens game next on my sheet.
Okay, we can do that. You go ahead.
There's going to be no Joe Flacco in this game. So that's going to be huge. Lamar Jackson is going to be playing. The Bengals have allowed, in the last 5 games, they've allowed the most yards in NFL history. So if Lamar Jackson's going to, if you were going to throw him in any game, this would probably be the one you'd want to throw him in. Throw him in a game with a rival at home. Let him get his feet under him against a bad defense. And as long as he doesn't turn the ball over. Let his defense keep him in the game. I think the Ravens will win the game. I think the Ravens will win. I think they'll win 20 to 13.
These are two teams that got off to really hot starts, but have since fallen off completely.
Yeah.
You're looking at the Cincinnati Bengals team, who, as you mentioned, is on pace to allow the most yards in a season in NFL history at the rate that they're going, and are without A.J. Green, who's battling a foot injury, and I believe they're going to be without him for at least a couple more weeks. As you mentioned, the Ravens probably won't have Joe Flacco, but I think Lamar Jackson maybe puts him in a better position offensively than Flacco has been or will or would have. I think Baltimore is going to establish the run early against this bad Cincinnati defense. They'll get Lamar Jackson those opportunities to play those passing opportunities to play action. I expect big days from guys like Alex Collins. I also expect big days from the tight ends because I think Lamar Jackson's going to be throwing a lot of short balls over the middle, balls that he can complete.
Yeah, I don't think they trust him throwing many deep ones down the field.
In all, I think this Ravens defense, we're going to see the Ravens defense we saw a couple weeks ago, the one that we were scared of. Cincinnati's having real problems establishing a run, getting those big plays over the top. I think the Ravens defense is going to play well, especially at home. I expect the Ravens to win 30-21.
All right, a little bit more high scoring. The Ravens defense really hasn't played bad. They just run into some tough opponents, I feel like.
Yeah.
They played the Saints. They played the Steelers last week. So it's just tough, tough stretch for them in terms of schedule. So this will be a game where they can get back on track.
And, when you fire your defensive coordinator in the middle of the season, it can, we hope that it makes things better, but it can also make things worse than they are. I think there's going to be an adjustment period now with Marvin Lewis calling the defense rather than Terrell Austin. And that's why I think this game will be a little more high scoring than most people think.
All right. Do you think Marvin Lewis is back on the hot seat if they lose?
I think he's been on the hot seat for a couple of years, but yes, I do.
We'll see. We'll see what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they seem pretty keen to stay loyal to him, but at some point, you just got to get wins,
Yep.
But with that, we can move on. Next game on my sheet is Texans at Redskins.
Okay.
Texans are the favorite in that game. The Texans are 9th in defense, and they're on a 6-game winning streak right now, as many of you know. So I think this is the first time we've seen J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney play together for this long of a stretch, and this is what we've been expecting to see. They're finally getting their feet under them, trying to get in their chemistry working, and with a lot of injuries on the Redskins offensive line, it could be really bad for the Redskins this week if they're not careful. Their offense has been mediocre at best all year. Alex Smith hasn't played terrible, but he just doesn't have a lot of options at receiver with Jamison Crowder hurt and Chris Thompson hurt out of the backfield the last few weeks. So with all that in mind, I'm picking the Texans to win 28-20.
Yeah, the Redskins are 6-3, but I think people can easily get carried away by that record because they haven't done it convincingly per se.
Mm-hmm.
They struggled offensively against the Buccaneers last week, which is concerning considering the Buccaneers don't have that great of a defense. But the point is, this is a horrible matchup at a horrible time for Washington because, one, they're missing 3 offensive line starters, which doesn't bode well against J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney. Watt, who has 9 sacks, and I think either leads the league or is top 3 in the league in sacks. And then 2, Washington has a season-long point differential of just 1 point.
Wow.
So they're not winning games by necessarily a lot, and now they have to play a hot Houston Texans team. And I think with coming off a bye week, Houston's had more time to incorporate Demaryius Thomas into the offense. I expect him to have an even bigger contribution, along with DeAndre Hopkins, who has 63 catches for 894 yards and 7 touchdowns this year. You're going to see a lot more Demaryius Thomas. You're going to see a lot of DeAndre Hopkins. I'm picking Houston to win 28-20. No, it's 27-20.
27-20. All right. Basically the same thing. Basically. The same thing. Mm-hmm. All right. Moving along then. Next on my sheet is Pittsburgh at Jacksonville.
Okay.
So you're the Steelers fan, so I'm gonna let you make the pick first.
Well, we all know Jacksonville's struggling. They're on a 5-game losing streak. And Pittsburgh is hot, red hot. They're on a 5-game winning streak, so it kind of doesn't bode well for Jacksonville here. Now, in order for Jacksonville to win, in the 2 games last year, Leonard Fournette had big games, both over 100 yards rushing. But Pittsburgh's run defense has been fabulous, especially over this 5-game winning streak. I think Pittsburgh's defense is going to not only get to Blake Bortles because they lead the league in sacks with 31, but they're also going to make sure and key in on Leonard Fournette to make sure he doesn't have that big game, because if he does, then you have a totally different problem. They're going to key on Leonard Fournette, stop the run, make Blake Bortles throw the ball, and get to them with that pass rush. And on offense, I don't have anything to say about the offense. They've been fantastic. I'm picking the Steelers to continue their offensive explosion against the struggling defense, 35-17.
All right. A lot of similar thoughts as well. The thing that I've been liking about the Steelers defense lately is they're making the offense work for their yards now. You saw earlier in the year there would be blown coverages, receivers wide open, but it seems like every play now there's a defender right in the quarterback's face, and the corners are manning up and playing man to man way better. So that's a really good sign for them. And Blake Bortles, if you put 8 in the box for Leonard Fournette, Blake Bortles has to be able to take advantage of the one-on-one matchups, and I don't think he'll be able to. So, with all that in mind, I'm picking Pittsburgh to win big, 41-13.
Another thing I want to say is, remember that one podcast where I was talking about the 3 issues I had with this team in terms of Pittsburgh, and one of them was penalties, and another was the offensive line. Well, on this 5-game winning streak, the offensive line has been fantastic. They've been top 5 in the league. You can make the argument they've been the best in the league, even with some injuries to guys like Marcus Gilbert and David DeCastro. The offensive line's been fantastic, both in the run and protecting Ben. Ben's only been sacked 12 times this year. I believe only like twice in the past 5 weeks. It's been fantastic. And the penalties have also been good too, because last week we had one penalty, only one, against the Panthers as we blew them out at home. And that one penalty was when we put Artie Burns in the game. And I said bench him, and we benched him. And ever since then, our secondary has been a whole lot better. So all 3 things, the penalties, the secondary, and the offensive line, have been better, and that's resulted in this 5-game winning streak.
Yep. And I knew it was bound to happen. That the Steelers have all the talent to be a Super Bowl contender. So I knew it was coming.
If you look at it, Pittsburgh, this is what they do. They go every season. They have a long winning streak. 2016, they finished with 7 straight wins. Last year, they had a streak kind of towards the end of the year where they won 8 straight games. Should have won 9 straight, but they lost to New England in that crazy game.
Yeah.
And this year, now they're on a 5-game winning streak. So every single year, they've had these winning streaks, and they've been hot going into the playoffs. The question is going to be, will they disappoint when they get to the playoffs? But we'll talk about that down the road.
Yeah. Before we move on, I want to get your thoughts on the Le'Veon Bell situation.
Oh, I knew I was going to be asked this question. I was prepared on it. This is the last time I'm going to mention this topic on this podcast until the off season when Bell is a free agent. First of all, Bell not reporting. Let's look at this from Bell's perspective, okay? Everyone's going to think, why didn't he report? Is this plan all backfiring because now James Conner's balling out at a Pro Bowl type level? I think it's actually smart for Bell not to come, especially this week. If he wasn't going to report earlier in the season, back in week 7, and maybe get $10 million, why was he going to report yesterday and get the remaining $6 million? He knows Pittsburgh's going to run him into the ground and get everything they can out of him if he was to return, because it's shown in James Conner. James Conner has over 230 carries, and it's only week, 11? So he knew that Pittsburgh was going to run him into the ground. He wanted to stay fresh, and I think he might not get the deal that he wants, but he's not going to get a Todd Gurley deal, but he's going to get big money.
Yeah.
If you look at this from Pittsburgh's perspective, I think it's a win. At the very least, you lose him and you get a third-round compensatory draft pick, which would probably be what you maybe would have gotten in a trade, because teams weren't really willing to give up much, considering that Bell might just be a 1-year rental. I'm over being mad about Bell not coming to the team. I'm not going to vent on, my opinions personally, how I feel about it, but it's a smart decision for Bell, keeping his body fresh, and it's smart. Well, it's a win for the Steelers because ultimately you never knew how he would have been accepted in the locker room after all the things the offensive line said and all that stuff. Maybe the distractions will be gone now. They don't have to talk about it anymore, and they can just keep on rolling through the season.
Mm-hmm.
My only question is, will they put? Because I know they're not going to franchise tag him because the franchise tag is going to be worth $25 million next year, and they're not going to do that. But will they put the transition tag on him, which would be worth about what he was slated to make this year at $14.5 million? And what that would do is it would allow them to it would allow Bell to negotiate with other teams, but it would allow Pittsburgh the right to match whatever offer other teams put on the table, and it would give the rights to Pittsburgh. Would they do that? That remains to be seen. The only downside to doing that is if they didn't match the offer, if they put the transition tag on them and they don't match the offer, they would not get the third-round draft pick in return. The extra third-round draft pick, which you might want. If you're losing a guy like Bell, so.
And maybe even Ben Roethlisberger too. He might retire.
Exactly. So, but it does wonders for us in terms of cap space. It frees up $14.5 million in cap space.
So you'll have a lot of options for sure. If I'm a team like Green Bay, I'm putting all my money down for Le'Veon Bell. I don't care what his age is. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers. He's 35 years old. You've got maybe 5 years left of elite football, hopefully, from Aaron Rodgers. So the Super Bowl window is closing, and you need to get help around him ASAP. I'll be interested to see what they do with the draft picks they got from the Saints last year. They, as you all know, they traded down with the Saints, and the Saints got Marcus Davenport, and they got a bunch of draft picks. So they'll have a lot of draft picks this year. They can get a lot of young talent. They need to hit on those draft picks. But that's kind of off topic.
Another surprising thing to me is it seems as this Le'Veon Bell process has gone along, he's gotten further and further and further away from the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. Today, Ben Roethlisberger said yesterday, well, he said it today, but he said that he texted Bell yesterday. He said, I texted him saying I hoped he was going to return, or I hoped he was going to show up, and if he decided not to, I wish him nothing but the best. He was a great teammate and football player. He said that Bell did not respond to the text, and Mike Tomlin said Bell also did not respond to his texts or phone calls. So it seems as if Bell has just completely separated himself from the Steelers.
Yeah, just completely unplugged.
Yeah, and I think he's played his last game. And, well, he for sure has played his last game in a Steelers uniform because.
Yeah, with all that's happened, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely unfair to his teammates.
Yeah.
That's not cool. But getting back to the predictions, I've got the Titans-Colts game next.
Mm-hmm.
These are two okay teams, but the Titans are surging right now, and so are the Colts also. Give them credit. The Colts, Andrew Luck hasn't been sacked for the last 3 games, I think, or I think it might be 4, but I would have to look into that. And the Titans' defense is top 10 in the league in basically every category. So, after beating New England, my only question for Tennessee would be, are they just going to have that hangover after a huge win like that? You see teams come out the next week and get just not give it full effort. So, with that in mind, I'm picking the Colts at home just because I think the Titans – it was an emotional win last week for a lot of their players because some of them were expatriates. So I just think after like an emotional high like that, it's really hard to come back the next week and play a division rival on the road. So I'm picking the Colts 34-31. But I could see it going either way.
Yeah. To digress for just a second, when we, a couple years ago, were picking Tennessee, I think it was last year, when we were picking Tennessee to be the best team in the AFC South and go 12-4 or something like that, this is ultimately what I imagined Tennessee would be. But obviously it didn't turn out that way. But now this is a massive AFC North matchup because not only will the winner keep pace with Houston in the division, but it will also put pressure on the Bengals in the wild card race. I think the winner of this game could ultimately go on and get in contention for the wild card game. Now the Titans are coming off one of the more impressive wins by any team I've seen this year, 34-10 over the Patriots. But I think they're running into a buzzsaw. They got to go to Indianapolis. It's been an emotional week. The Colts are riding high off a 3-game win streak. Andrew Luck is looking like his old self. That offensive line is much better in Indy. That Quentin Nelson pick is looking really good now. They've weathered a ton of early season injuries. Most of their players are back and healthy. They're at home. They're playing well. Titans may be a little, what's the word?
Hungover.
Yeah, hungover. I think the Colts will win, but it's going to be close. I say Indianapolis 28-27.
Oh, so you think they won't cover the spread then?
They will win, but they will not cover the spread.
Okay.
I think Tennessee will keep it close.
Okay. Next game on mine is Tampa Bay at New York Giants.
What a game.
Yeah, what an amazing game.
You go first.
The notes I put on this one was who cares? I'm predicting a tie, 27-27, and don't ask me to give analysis on that. I've got a gut feeling.
I can't really give analysis on this game.
Yeah, it's gonna be ugly.
Tampa Bay has a high-flying offense, but the Giants looked better against the
against San Francisco. Yeah,
on Monday night. I just think since they're at home, I think they're gonna win. I'm gonna say 24-14.
Okay. I was just joking about the tie. Here's my actual pick. I'm gonna pick the Giants to win. I think it's gonna be high scoring. So 38-34 Giants.
Okay.
Odo Beckham is gonna go off because the Bucks don't have a corner that can guard him.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the next game? Oh, we haven't done Denver versus LA Chargers in LA.
I don't think this game is going to be close at all. It's rolling. Well, the Chargers are on a 6-game winning streak. I think all the receivers are healthy. Melvin Gordon's been a beast on the ground. Now they may be even getting Joey Bosa back, which is going to be a boost defensively. They're what? Is this game at home? Yeah, this game's in LA.
Yeah, in LA.
Big game for the Chargers. Every game's a big game for the Chargers because as soon as those Chiefs stumble, the Chargers could jump on that division. So they're hot. They're as hot as anyone. Their offense is playing well. The Broncos are going backwards. Vance Joseph is probably gone after this year.
Yeah, for sure.
At least for me.
It seems like the Case Keenum thing isn't working out.
I'm picking the Chargers to win 38-17.
38-17. Okay. When I look at this game, I just look at the Chargers' weapons on offense. Melvin Gordon, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. All those guys can beat one-on-one coverage, and the Denver loves to play man-to-man, and they don't like to blitz a lot because they're confident in their front four with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. But at the same time, Philip Rivers gets the ball out quick. He can get the ball out to those receivers really quickly. So I just don't think the Denver defense basically falls on that D-line shoulders. Whether they can get there is whether they have a good game or not. So with that, I think the Chargers will beat that defense pretty good. I think they'll go 34-10.
All right. Yeah, as you admit, I mean, the offensive line for the Chargers has been playing really well also. They're up there for the best in the league. Philip Rivers has only been sacked 12 times in 9 games.
Yeah.
Denver's only hope is to get pressure on Philip Rivers and create some turnovers with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, that's going to be the key, the turnovers, because when Philip Rivers gets in trouble, it's mostly with the interceptions. Like I said, he gets the ball out so quick to the point where the D-line is almost not even a factor. So it basically takes Denver's best players out of the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can move on. Philly and New Orleans. Wait, no. New Orleans at Philly, I think. Actually, let me check on that.
Either way,
I don't know.
It won't affect my prediction, but you can go ahead and check to make sure.
I think I have it pulled up right here on my phone. Let's see. Where is it? New Orleans. Yeah, it's at New Orleans. Oof. Yeah, that's not good for Philly. Philly just got manhandled by a bad offense basically last week. That's what it looked like to me. Their offensive line is struggling to protect Carson Wentz a little bit. Carson Wentz is doing all he can, but at some point that's just got to be better. I like Philly's weapons, but I just don't think they can put up enough points to win a shootout against New Orleans. So I think it'll be close first half, and then New Orleans will start pulling away second half. I think it'll be 42 31.
Yeah. The Saints, they've defeated their 5 of their last 6 opponents by 10 or more points. So they're scorching hot, and they're facing a reeling Philadelphia team that just lost to the Dallas Cowboys at home. So they're kind of defeated in a way.
Yeah, their defense, their secondary is a mess.
Yeah,
and the strength of their defense was supposed to be their run defense, but that was just manhandled by the Cowboys as well. So they're just.
This is not the same Eagles defense that helped them win the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah,
they were exposed at points in times against the Cowboys last week. And that's been kind of a recurring thing with them throughout this season. Carson Wentz is getting better every week, but he can't do it alone. You don't want to see Drew Brees the way he's playing right now. The Saints are number 1 in scoring. They've proven they can win any way possible. Philly's going to really struggle to get off the field on third downs. We're really going to struggle facing the 2 running backs out of the backfield for New Orleans, Kamara and Ingram. I'm picking the Saints to win 40-21.
All right. With that, there's a couple of bad games. I don't know if you want to skip the Arizona-Oakland game.
Yeah, we'll skip that one.
Okay. Yeah, there's no point in doing that. So we'll skip to the Sunday Night Football.
The thing we can say about that game is, who wants the number 1 overall draft?
Yeah, that's basically what that game is. Honestly,
I imagine Oakland will end up getting it, but
yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Knowing Oakland, they like to screw things up, so they could go on a win streak and just say screw it.
Yeah.
But not likely. But next game, the Sunday Night Football, Minnesota at Chicago, decide the leader in the NFC North. The third place team, Green Bay, they're in a tough game at Seattle, so they could possibly be 4-5-1 after this week. So the winner of this game will not only be ahead of the team they beat, but also they'll be possibly 3 ahead of Green Bay, which could be big, knowing Green Bay's history of running the table late in the year.
Yep.
So, getting into the analysis a little bit, Minnesota's defense has woken up now that they've gotten healthy. I think they've gotten Sendejo back. They've gotten Sheldon Richardson back. They've gotten their big D tackle. What's his name again? I can't think of his name. But the fact is their defense is healthy now, and they're playing as good as they were last year again, finally. So with their corners, I think Chicago's offense relies on the pass games too much at times, and even if they do try to run the football, I think it'll be tough for them to run anyway against Minnesota's defense. So I think it'll be close, but I think Minnesota will win in the end. I think they'll win 28-23, cover the spread.
Okay.
And they're actually underdogs in this game, which I don't agree with, but
yeah, I am gonna go the other way. I'm gonna pick the Bears to win the game, 20-17, in a low-scoring affair. First of all, I want to mention that Matt Nagy, if this continues, should probably be the front runner for Coach of the Year.
Yeah, definitely. Or Andy Reid. Yeah, definitely Matt Nagy.
He's taken this team to another level. He acquired Khalil Mack, which has been awesome. Khalil Mack was hurt, which forced him to sit a couple games, but he had 5 sacks in his first 4 games of the year, and he had 2 last week against the Lions. Mitchell Trubisky is looking better and better. Yes, they do rely on that passing game. That will be interesting to see how he can, how he fares. But he's at home. The Bears' defense is also playing well. I don't think you're going to see a lot of offense. I think it's going to be more on the low-scoring side.
Yeah,
and I think the Bears will pull it out 20-17.
Okay. I can definitely see it. I can definitely see it go either way, but for me, I just have to go with the more experienced quarterback in a game like this, or at least, in theory, Kirk Cousins should win this game at least.
Yeah.
So this is what they brought Kirk Cousins in for games like this. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays.
How he responds to the pressure.
Yeah, for sure. On the road at Soldier Field. It's been a while since the Bears have been relevant. So it's good to see them back.
For sure. I think this is the game where we kind of see, well, people have been asking the question, is this Bears team version of last year's Rams team, a team that finally gets themselves, we've been waiting for this for a couple of years, a team with a young quarterback, can they finally get themselves over the hump into not necessarily what the Rams are now, I don't think they'll ever get there, but back to a playoff contender who can be in the playoffs.
I think I'd honestly compare them more to the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Because of their defense. Their defense has been really strong this year.
Yeah. That'd probably be a better comparison now that I think about it.
But I mean, I can see it both ways with a young cool coach like Matt Nagy, offensive minded. There's a lot of similarities for sure. I just have to look at the free agent pickups they made this offseason. They added Taylor Gabriel, they added Allen Robinson. They just gave Trubisky a lot more weapons, and it's been a lot easier for him to get in rhythm this year.
For sure.
Is that all you want to say on that game, or?
Yes.
All right, cool. Now the game of the week. Kansas City at LA now, not Mexico City. They had to move it.
Yeah, which is big.
Yeah. This game is a tough game to pick, to be honest. We got 2 8-1 teams. 2 teams that basically have to win to keep their position, as the number 1 seed. So I think it's definitely going to be high scoring. That's what I know for sure. But it's going to come down to, I think it's going to come down to turnovers. That's going to be the biggest thing to me, I think. Whoever can get the momentum-changing turnovers will win this game. For the Chiefs, I'd look for a guy like Eric Berry to make a difference now that he's back. And their pass rushers, Tamba Ali, and the guy on the other side, what's his name?
Justin Houston.
Oh, why did I say Tom Ali? I'm gonna say Justin Houston, but they have a other guy. Oh, D Ford.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. D Ford and Justin Houston. I don't know why I said Tom Ali. He's gone. But my gut is saying go with the Chiefs. I'm gonna say the Chiefs win. Really high scoring. 48-45.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
No defense.
I'm along the same premise you are. I have the Chiefs winning by 3 also. Just by a different score, 41-38. Look, it's the number 1 offense versus the number 2 offense.
So, yeah, it's bound to happen.
And both defenses are not great. Chiefs defense is 25th. The Rams are not much better at 20th. Their secondary is struggling the past couple of weeks. Marcus Peters, I believe I read a stat the other day on Pro Football Focus or something that he's like 130th or something in terms of corners. Yeah. But that's not the point. The defense isn't on the same page at this point. That's going to be a big problem against Patrick Mahomes. And to add to the fact, the Rams just lost Cooper Kupp to ACL injury. So
yeah, that's going to be huge. The strength of these defenses is their pass rushes.
Mm-hmm.
So what I look for is Patrick Mahomes being the more mobile quarterback, being able to get outside of the pocket and make plays. Jared Goff is I'm not saying Jared Goff is bad, but he's more of a pocket passer type player.
For sure.
So I feel like Patrick Mahomes will be able to extend the play, and that'll neutralize that pass rush a little bit.
Yeah. I got nothing else to say. I'm just excited to watch the game.
Yeah, me too. What I'm seeing from the Rams is they're really missing a key to lead.
Yeah. He's
their best corner by far.
Mm-hmm.
Without him, it's Marcus Joyner and Marcus Peters. And Marcus Joyner, he's not a bad player, but he's small. He's like 5'9". And then Peters, we all know about his struggles. He gambles on way too many plays, pass interference calls, just all of it. But in past years, the gambling leads to some interceptions, but this year it hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he can turn it around. Who knows?
But we'll see.
Yeah, that's gonna be a great game, though.
So I think we'll talk some NBA and Jimmy Butler now.
Yeah. Philly, I don't know if they won that trade, to be honest. It's hard to say, but giving up Saric and Covington for a guy that's 29, he's a scorer, yes, he's a defender, yeah, but above all else, you give up 2 really good 3-point shooters in your rotation. So now you're a little bit you're even more struggling to find 3-point shooting now. Now you have T.J. McConnell off the mid. Now you have guys like who is their backup for? Rashawn Holmes. He's a inside player. So with all those inside players on their bench, it's going to be a struggle to find spacing. That's the point I'm trying to make here.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about this trade. First of all, we can talk about who won the trade and all that, but we'll do that later. I just want to say one area I think Philly's going to feel Jimmy Butler's impact right away is going to be seen in late game situations when the game is close.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, Philadelphia ranks 29th in offensive rating during the fourth quarter, and they ranked last in the league last year in that category.
Wow.
I think he's going to help in this. Philadelphia runs pick and rolls and isolations, the least of any team in the NBA. These are plays that they're going to need down the stretch when defenses tighten. They don't run the plays because they're personnel issues, right? Because Ben Simmons can't shoot, and Joel Embiid, he's great, but he's more of a threat inside than he is on the outside.
Yeah, he shoots balance. Threes, but he's at 28% 3-point shooting.
Yeah. And then, I think Jimmy Butler can step in, kind of assume something like a closer role, and I think he can jumpstart the offense in those late game situations. And the player who can pull up and shoot. He's not a great 3-point shooter, but he's okay. He's better from the mid range. He can attack the basket. That's where he's at his best, and he can also create for some of his teammates. Now, the reason I don't like this trade for Philly, and I'll give Philly a grade of a C- for this trade, but the reason I don't like the trade for Philly is because Jimmy Butler doesn't solve their biggest problem. Their biggest problem, they're 9-6 right now. However, statistics show they're playing more like a lottery team than a contender. They rank 19th in net rating and 21st in offensive efficiency. Now, we all know Jimmy Butler's he's a 4-time all-defensive team selection. He's going to elevate them defensively. But Philadelphia's major problems lie on offense. It's not clear to me how he's going to solve Philadelphia's problems on the offensive side of the ball. Butler, Simmons, and Embiid are for sure an impressive core, but they need perimeter shooting. This move doesn't necessarily help them in that category, and I think it actually hurts them in that category because they just gave up Robert Covington and Dario Saric, who were combined to launch over 11 threes per game and represented 34% of their 3-point offense.
Wow.
So I think it actually hurts them rather than maybe even helps them in that category. If you look at it, Ben Simmons can't shoot. Butler and Embiid offer limited 3-point shooting. Mm-hmm. Philly ranks 16th in the NBA in effective field goal percentage. And it's hard to see how that's going to rise with Jimmy Butler in the mix because both Saric, 54%, and Covington, 53%, have been better in that category than Butler, 50%, this season. And as I mentioned, Robert Covington and Dario Saric took over half Philly shots from downtown and accounted for 34% of their total 3-point offense. So they're losing more 3-point offense than they gain, and that's what they actually need. During their 16-game winning streak that they had last year, the team posted the NBA's third-best offense with a 55% effective field goal percentage and 33 3-point attempts per game. You're not going to get as many 3-point attempts with Butler as you would with Covington and Saric.
Yeah.
Also, what you really are hoping Jimmy Butler does, his strongest part of his game, in my opinion, is driving to the basket. And statistics show he's been in decline in those categories. 55 players have logged at least 100 drives this season. Butler ranks 50th in points per drive at .89.
Wow.
So near the bottom. He's also logging the lowest free throw rate of his career, averaging just .39 free throws per field goal attempt. So
wow. Where are you getting all these stats from? That's insane, dude.
ESPN.
Oh. So looking at a big picture, overall what they want from this trade is for it to push them over the top.
Yeah.
Push them over Toronto, push them over the Celtics, and maybe for them to make a run to the finals. But I don't think this trade does it.
No. They don't have enough offensive firepower now to contend for a championship or even the Eastern Conference, as I see it. I think they're going to need to do what they did last year and either make more trades or look on the buyout market for some perimeter shooters like they did last year when they acquired Bellinelli and Ilyasova. They're going to need a couple. They're going to need to bring in a couple perimeter shooters because that's what they need.
For sure. That's going to be a huge problem until they make changes. JJ Redick can't be your only 3-point shooter. As proven by the Boston series last year, he can get locked up in the span of a 7-game series.
Yeah.
What
do you think about it from Minnesota's perspective?
Well, now you're banking on Towns and Wiggins actually being like a star core, like being legit. Like it's winning time. Like there's no more rebuilding. There's no more excuses. No more I'm too young. It's now or never right now. They're getting paid the big bucks, so it's time to get money. Towns put up 25 points, 21 rebounds on 11 of 13 shooting the other night. That's a really good sign. Like I know it's against the Nets, but that's a good sign if you're a Timberwolves fan. But the trade, like I said, it just depends on if Towns and Wiggins can actually lead this team. Because if you look at Covington and Saric, they're solid role players and they can contribute to a playoff team. So with this move, clearly Minnesota sees himself as a playoff team. So now it's just up to whether Wiggins and Towns can lead them to that.
For sure.
And it's going to be really tough. It's going to be really, really tough.
There was the report of Houston offering them those 4 first-round draft picks, and they took this trade instead.
So clearly they want to win now. They're not into the rebuild thing.
No.
I think if the Rockets offered the trade Noah put on the table, they would have taken it. But the Eric Gordon trade. What did he say? He said Eric Gordon and 2 first-round picks. I think that would have been. I feel like they would have taken that.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? What's some other stories? What's your opinion on the whole Draymond Green, KD argument the other night?
Oh yeah, that's been a big story. I don't really have very many opinions on it. Obviously, I saw the whole altercation But the more interesting thing to me was not the fact that they argued on the court. It's that this carried over into the locker room after the game.
Yeah. You think they'd let it go, but they didn't.
Hopefully they'll let it go, but I think it ultimately boiled over to the point where, well, because they eventually lost the game, if they had ended up winning the game in overtime, I think a lot of it would have been forgotten.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been a problem if they won.
And it wouldn't have gone into the locker room, but since they ended up losing, a lot of the blame was on Draymond. Now, if I was Draymond, I would let KD have the ball in that situation, but I understand.
In that moment,
trying to get down, make a. I'm not sure if he was trying to shoot the ball but knowing Draymond, I think he was trying to create something for his teammates. He just didn't.
I think he lost track of the clock as well because it looked like he was trying to drive in, but he didn't have time to drive in. So I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
So in that moment, you got to give it to Kevin Durant in that situation.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But
I don't see why he really was in that situation to begin with. He should have just let KD have the ball, but I'm not really sure why he was in such a rush to try and get down the court because, I know time was running out, but it kind of was just dribbling to dribble. I didn't really see him
making a move. He didn't really make a move or anything.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the weird thing was.
Yeah.
He didn't dribble with any purpose. He was just dribbling, trying to make something happen, and ultimately did it.
Yeah, I actually like that KD got angry. I mean, he's supposed to get angry when that kind of stuff happens. He's got to be the alpha dog when especially since Steph Curry's out. He's got to go step into that role.
Yeah. I believe they said today Curry's going to miss at least 10 more days, so at least 3 more games. So
dang,
they're going to have to figure something out in the meantime.
That's interesting. Other than that, the Nuggets have lost 4 in a row. The Kings are 7-5, I think. There's some weird stuff going on right now. Some teams that we didn't really see doing well, the Blazers, the Clippers, even a team like the Nets, they're sitting in the 8th seed right now. So it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that was just horrible to watch was Karis LeVert's injury.
Oh, yeah.
That just sucks.
That was awful.
The Nets were having a promising season for their standards. But
yeah, they kind of started similar to this last year, but the injuries really hit them hard last year. So they finally have their draft picks now, so they're not really incentivized to do good, but it looks like they're trying to.
Yeah.
Good for them.
The good thing is he might be able to return this season because it wasn't as bad as it initially looked, but by the time he comes back,
by the time he comes back, they may not even be in playoff contention. Who knows if they'll be in playoff contention by then? I don't really have much else to say, man. I've got a pre-cal test tomorrow, so kind of off topic, but I think unless you got some more NBA stuff you want to say, I think I'm fine with ending it right here.
One more thing. What do you think? Just a couple quick thoughts on the Carmelo Anthony situation with the Rockets.
Oh, yeah. It's a shame to me. I don't like it at all what they're doing. They did the same thing to Allen Iverson. They did acting like he's the problem. It's not. That's definitely not what it was. It definitely wasn't Carmelo.
Yeah.
I mean, like even we knew that they would be worse this year, knowing that they lost Trevor Ariza and Luka Baumute. We said that in our NBA preview, and everybody saw it too. So there's no reason to blame Melo here.
Mm-hmm.
Melo didn't necessarily play good, but I mean, saying that he should be out of the league, that's blasphemous.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't have much to add to that. You hit it on the head.
Yeah, just saying that he should be out of the league is harder than me. I can name 150 guys that Carmelo Anthony is better than in the NBA right now. So,
where do you see him best fit if he does end up being released by Houston?
Good question. I feel like Melo actually could be pretty beneficial to a team like the Pistons or something,
mm-hmm.
or even the Nets if he wants to go back to New York.
Yeah.
New York's definitely not going to take him back, but maybe the Nets will,
mm-hmm.
considering they need some wing depth.
Yeah.
So hopefully it all works out for Melo, man. I'd hate to see his career end so sour like this, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's
no
a shame.
one wants to see it end like this, but hopefully something will be worked out.
I mean, he hasn't achieved a lot of great stuff, but he did go head to head with Kobe in the Western Conference Finals in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's the farthest he's been in his career. The Nuggets had the blueprint that year. They had the key was to put Melo with a bunch of really good defenders. That was the key that year. If you look at that Nuggets team, they had Billups, Kenyon Martin, Marcus Camby. Those are really, really solid defenders. And every team he's been on since then hasn't been able to match that blueprint.
Yeah.
So that's a really key point to me when it comes to Melo's lack of playoff success, is because they haven't gotten the pieces that fit for his game specifically. Melo needs the ball in his hand, so adding offensive pieces isn't really going to help him succeed. Yeah. You saw it when the Knicks added Tyson Chandler. They immediately made it to the second round of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty clear to me. It's too late now, but I still think if Melo goes to a team like the Nets, I could see him still averaging I could still see him giving you 16 and 7 if you give him the chance.
Yeah, I could too.
And that's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
The question would be the efficiency.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's Melo, so you never know.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for
Yep.
today's podcast.
Get this one to 10 likes, and we'll get another podcast out this weekend if you get this podcast to 10 likes. So smash that like button. It'll help our channel grow. And thanks for watching, and peace.